Karoline Leavitt is the press secretary at the White House, doing a great job. Such a great job that the ladies of The View feel the green monster coming.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
Donald Trump? She's a 10. All right, folks, strap in because today's drama is sizzling hotter than ever. This is the showdown no one saw coming, but now it's all anyone can talk about. Picture this, a no-holds-barred verbal smackdown, unleashed by none other than podcast titan Joe Rogan, aimed straight at The View's Sunny Hostin. The reason? Sunny's latest remarks have kicked up a storm of controversy, and Rogan wasn't about to let them slide. And trust us, his response wasn't just a clapback, it was a full-blown roast of the year.
I really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
Right out of the gate, Rogan came out swinging, no hesitation, no filter. He called Sunny Hostin certainly not the brightest person, and then delivered a brutal uppercut. If you average out the IQ of The View's hosts, you're not hitting triple digits. Ouch! That wasn't just a jab, that was a knockout. But he wasn't done. Rogan tore into what he called the show's performative outrage and lack of intellectual depth. He painted Sunny as the queen of victimhood, always ready to attack anyone who doesn't fit her narrative. And as his rant unfolded, you could almost hear the internet collectively gasp, because this wasn't just criticism. This was a full-scale takedown.
She said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you.
So what exactly lit Rogan's fuse? It all traces back to the ongoing feud between The View and Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history. She's been turning heads with her sharp intellect, bold decisions, and no-nonsense approach, quickly becoming a rising star in conservative circles. But her success didn't sit well with The View's panel. After delivering a fiery first press briefing that left traditional media scrambling, Leavitt became their latest target. Instead of debating her policies or qualifications, Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin took the low road, launching personal attacks. Behar, in a dismissive jab, claimed Leavitt only got the job because she's a 10 in Donald Trump's eyes. Yep, you heard that right. They reduced her achievements, experience, and credentials to nothing more than her looks.
Without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table.
And Whoopi Goldberg? Oh, she wasn't far behind. Hostin doubled down, accusing Leavitt of benefiting from the very wokeness she criticized during her press conference. Whoopi took it even further, saying, "Let me explain. Without that wokeness, you might not have that job." The implication? Leavitt's position was nothing more than political correctness at play. But here's where things get really interesting. Instead of backing down, Leavitt fired back harder than anyone expected. Not only did she call out The View for their hypocrisy, but she also dropped a legal bombshell, an $800 million defamation lawsuit against the show and its network, ABC. Now pause for a moment and soak in the irony. The View, a show that prides itself on women's empowerment, is now under fire for tearing down a young woman who's shattered records at just 27 years old. And Rogan? He wasn't about to let that slide. He obliterated the show's double standards, calling out how they preach feminism but only support women who align with their political views. They destroy conservative women, Rogan said, while protecting their liberal counterparts. He even mocked the show's entire format, calling it a reality TV circus where the loudest voice wins and facts are optional. And honestly, can anyone argue with that? But Rogan's takedown wasn't just about Sunny Hostin or The View. It was a direct shot at legacy media and their treatment of figures like Leavitt. He exposed their blatant bias, their refusal to hold themselves accountable, and how shows like The View have become nothing more than echo chambers, where opposing viewpoints aren't just ignored, they're shut down, and the internet exploded. Fans flooded social media, praising Rogan for saying what so many have been thinking for years.
Rowan couldn't do that at 27. No nonsense, straight to the point, courage, detail.
One comment summed it up perfectly. Joe Rogan didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. I hope he keeps doing exactly what he's doing. Another fan chimed in, Karoline Leavitt is a wonderful example for young women to aspire to. Shame on The View. The message was loud and clear. People are done with the hypocrisy and ready to rally behind those willing to speak the truth. And speaking of Karoline Leavitt, let's not forget how she completely flipped the script on her critics. During her press conference, a moment that left the legacy media reeling, she announced massive changes to the White House press corps. Among them, new media seats for independent journalists, podcasters, and influencers. This wasn't just policy. It was a direct challenge to the mainstream media's iron grip on White House access. A bold statement that the rules of the game were changing. Naturally, The View's hosts lost it. Sunny Hostin dismissed the move as catering to unqualified individuals. Whoopi Goldberg went further, whining that it would lead to people just spouting stuff without accountability. But Leavitt wasn't about to let them twist the narrative. She fired back, calling out legacy media for spreading lies and losing the trust of everyday Americans. And honestly, can you blame her?
Isn't it rich that The View is saying she got the job based on looks when DEI is all about based on looks?
The fallout from Leavitt's press conference and the massive lawsuit that followed has been nothing short of explosive. Inside sources say ABC executives are in full-blown panic mode, scrambling to contain the damage as major sponsors start rethinking their deals. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg, normally one of the loudest voices in the room, but now uncharacteristically silent. And that silence speaks volumes. As for Sunny Hostin, her media credibility is reportedly taking a nosedive. Some insiders are even speculating that ABC might cut her loose just to save face. But at this point, the damage is already done.
No, it's not. So first of all, and I have had my objections to the job that Karine Jean-Pierre did, but she worked in politics for 21 years, 5 presidential campaigns, and worked in 2 administrations.
And here's the kicker. This isn't just about The View or its hosts. This is about a bigger shift. A moment where people are done tolerating biased narratives and personal attacks masquerading as journalism. Rogan's takedown and Leavitt's lawsuit are just the latest signs of a growing backlash. And one thing is clear, the tide is turning. Independent media is calling out the hypocrisy of legacy outlets. Young leaders like Leavitt are challenging the status quo. And the old rules, they don't apply anymore. So what happens next? Will Rogan continue to expose The View and Sunny Hostin? Will Leavitt's lawsuit force ABC to finally hold its hosts accountable? Or is this just another chapter in the never-ending saga of media bias and political division? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. And the stakes? They've never been higher. Stay tuned, because the drama is only just beginning.
A staunch Trump loyalist and unapologetic Gen Z conservative, Leavitt's sharp rhetoric and bold social media presence have already made waves.
All right, let's pick up right where we left off, because this storm, it's far from over. If you thought the drama had peaked, buckle up. This saga is taking twists and turns no one saw coming. Beyond the immediate fallout, a bigger narrative is emerging. One that could be the reckoning that daytime talk shows, especially The View, have been dodging for years. And here's the real kicker. This isn't just about who said what. This has turned into a full-blown cultural moment. Lines are being drawn, sides are being chosen, and at this point, there's no turning back.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud.
Behind the scenes, ABC executives are scrambling, and it's not just about Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit. The network is starting to wake up to a harsh reality. The View's long-standing format, a cocktail of heated debates, personal jabs, and viral sound bites, might finally be catching up with them. And here's where it gets even messier. Insiders are whispering that some higher-ups are starting to wonder, are viewers still on board with this kind of content? Because this backlash, it's everywhere. Not just from one side of the internet, but from political commentators, casual viewers, everyone. And the big question? Has The View finally crossed the line one too many times? And if so, can they come back from it? But let's not forget the pressure mounting on the hosts themselves. For Sunny Hostin, this is more than just a bad week in the headlines. Her credibility is in the hot seat, not just because of her attacks on Karoline Leavitt, but because of another bombshell development. Her husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. And with Joe Rogan's scathing critique still making waves, it's no surprise that she's feeling the heat. Rumors are swirling that even some of her co-hosts are frustrated, especially as this controversy starts to overshadow everything else on the show. And let's be real, when the team dynamic starts to crack, it's only a matter of time before that tension explodes onto the screen.
According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries.
And speaking of tension, let's talk about Joy Behar. The veteran host is no stranger to controversy, but this time, her comments about Leavitt's appearance have landed her in a firestorm, unlike anything she's faced before. Critics are calling her remarks not just sexist, but also hypocritical, especially given The View's supposed mission to empower women. And here's where things get even messier. Even fans of the show, yes, fans, are starting to speak out against her. Social media has been flooded with posts from longtime viewers saying they've had enough of the personal attacks. For a show that thrives on audience loyalty, this could spell big trouble. Because, let's be real, what's a talk show without its loyal fan base? Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt isn't just sitting back and watching the chaos unfold. Oh no, she's doubling down. Insiders close to her camp say she's been reaching out to alternative media outlets, giving interviews and amplifying her story. And honestly, it's working. She's not just winning over her conservative base, she's also gaining traction with moderates who are tired of what they see as a toxic media environment. And her lawsuit against The View? It's not just about clearing her name. It's about sending a message, and that message is loud and clear. If you come for me with baseless personal attacks, be prepared to face the consequences.
In the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing.
But what makes this lawsuit even more interesting is the potential ripple effect it could have on the entire entertainment and media industry. Legal experts are already speculating that if Leavitt wins or even forces ABC into a settlement, it could set a new precedent like never before. What does that mean? If this happens, talk show hosts will be more accountable for their words, something that hasn't been seen at this level before. Imagine a world where daytime television debates have to pass a legal sniff test, where networks think twice before allowing their hosts to go unscripted. For better or worse, Leavitt's legal battle could change the rules of the game, and you can bet that other talk shows are watching this very closely. Could this be the beginning of a new era for daytime TV only? Time will tell.
We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide.
Meanwhile, it's not just Leavitt's lawsuit that's putting pressure on The View. Behind closed doors, internal conflict among the hosts is reportedly reaching a boiling point. According to insiders, tensions are higher than ever, with some co-hosts feeling blindsided by the backlash and frustrated with how the controversy has been handled. One source even hinted at a growing division, saying, "Not everyone is on the same page about how to move forward, and it's creating a lot of friction." If true, this could spell serious trouble for a show that thrives on its on-screen chemistry, no matter how chaotic it may seem. Could cracks in the foundation lead to a major shakeup in the cast? Only time will tell.
So we know Sunny Hostin and her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, are preparing for a legal battle to fight accusations that he committed federal insurance fraud.
Meanwhile, it's not just Leavitt's lawsuit that's putting pressure on The View. Behind closed doors, there are reports of internal conflicts among the hosts themselves. According to insiders, tensions are higher than ever, with some co-hosts reportedly feeling blindsided by the backlash and frustrated with how the controversy has been handled. One source even hinted at growing division, saying, "Not everyone is on the same page about how to move forward, and it's creating a lot of friction." If true, this could spell trouble for a show that relies on its chemistry, however chaotic it may seem on screen, to keep viewers engaged. Could cracks in the foundation lead to a full-blown shakeup in the cast? Only time will tell. But let's not forget how the audience is reacting to all of this. While some longtime viewers are standing by The View, others are openly questioning whether the show has lost its way. Social media is flooded with posts from people saying they've been fans for years, but are now reconsidering their loyalty. I used to watch The View religiously, but this feels like a step too far. One post read, "Others are even calling for boycotts. arguing that the show's tone has become too toxic to support. If the backlash gains traction, it could have serious implications, not just for the show's ratings, but for its entire brand. After all, trust is everything in media, and once it's broken, it's not easy to rebuild. And then there's the question of how this controversy might affect other daytime talk shows. Could this be a wake-up call for the entire genre? Shows like The Talk and even newer programs are likely watching The View's predicament with a mix of relief and dread. Relief that it's not them in the hot seat, but also dread that they could be next. If audiences are growing tired of the constant drama and personal attacks, it might force these shows to rethink their formats entirely. Could this be the start of a broader shift in what viewers expect from daytime television? It's a fascinating possibility, and one that adds yet another layer of intrigue to this already explosive story. What's even more interesting is how this whole debacle is shining a spotlight on the larger media ecosystem. Shows like The View have long been criticized for their lack of accountability, but this time it feels different. People are asking why hosts are allowed to make inflammatory statements without repercussions, especially when those statements have real-world consequences. And let's not forget the role of social media in all of this. Platforms like Twitter and Instagram have become battlegrounds where opinions are amplified, dissected, and debated in real time. For The View, this means every word, every facial expression, every slip-up is under a microscope. And for hosts like Sunny and Joy, that kind of scrutiny can be brutal.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit.
But let's not overlook the wild card in this saga, Joe Rogan. His takedown of The View didn't just make headlines, it reignited a long-standing conversation about the role of independent media in holding traditional outlets accountable. Rogan's audience is massive and fiercely loyal, and his critique of Sunny Hostin and the show as a whole has resonated far beyond his typical listener base. In a way, Rogan has become an unlikely hero in this story. By calling out what he sees as hypocrisy and intellectual dishonesty, he's given a voice to those who feel alienated by mainstream media. And let's be real, his influence is only growing. If The View thought this controversy would blow over, they clearly underestimated the power of a well-timed Rogan rant.
This is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys, wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
As the dust begins to settle, or perhaps swirl even more violently, one thing is clear. This isn't just about The View, Joe Rogan, or Karoline Leavitt. It's about a much larger shift in how we consume and critique media. The lines between entertainment, news, and personal opinion are blurrier than ever, and moments like this force us to confront those blurred boundaries. So where does it all go from here? Will The View manage to weather the storm and come out stronger? Or is this the beginning of the end for one of daytime television's most iconic shows? And what about Karoline Leavitt? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity gossip and updates.